Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
We are so glad you are here with us today to celebrate Rebecca becoming a bat mitzvah. She has worked long and hard, and we are so proud of the work she has done. Bradley's telling us how proud he is. We are so proud of all the work she's done, and we are so grateful that you're all here to celebrate. I am Rabbi Ilana Nematov-Bressler. I am joined by Rabbi Zach Pleasant. We have Mike Landowski on the keys. We have Sean and Eric in the back, Lester making sure everything's working right. We have Dina helping you in the back if you need anything, and we are so glad to be here. In your hands, many of you have a prayer book. Matthew, will you hold it up and show everyone? It's upside down. But yes, that's our prayer book. It's called Mishkan Tefillah. It's blue. I say that because we have another blue book, which is a little confusing. But Mishkan Tefillah is the prayer book we're going to be using. We'll tell you the page numbers so you can follow along. There is another book that is in the seat in front of you, unless you're in the front row, in which case it's under your seat. You don't need it yet. You don't have to find it yet. That book is for the Torah and the Haftorah, which will come much later. When we get to that book, I'll tell you when we're there, and I'll tell you what page we're on. Don't worry. We are so glad you are here to join us, and it's so nice to see all of your faces. It's been a while since we've seen faces and smiles, so we cannot wait to be with you, to pray with you, and to sing with you. And just know that all of our songs are singable, so join with us. This is a participatory service. We can't wait to pray with you.
I would say especially this first song, because really there's one word that we keep coming back to, hallelujah. This is Psalm 150. It's the last of the 150 Psalms. It is a psalm of praise, and what it basically says is that anyone or anything that breathes can praise, can celebrate. So on a day of celebration of this wonderful bat mitzvah, we can all join together and celebrate and sing praise. Hallelujah.
Page 220, if you want to follow, or 218.
Hallelujah.
Rebecca, as your first act in this service, well, your second act, you already signed the wall. But, we have a wall behind our sanctuary that all of our B'nai Mitzvah kids signed, that Rebecca signed right before she came up to signify that she indeed is becoming bat mitzvah with so many of our young ones here at Temple Israel. But the first act is part of the service, Rebecca, is you get to put your talit on for the first time. So I'm going to invite you up with your parents. They're going to present you with the talit, and then you're going to say the blessing and put it on yourself. going to hold it in front of you. Other way.
Perfect.
Yep, one on each side. Okay, Rebecca.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam asher kidjanu b'mitzvotav v'tivanu l'hitatef b'tzitzit.
Amen.
Amen.
Now go ahead and put it on. Close.
Mom and Dad can help straighten that out. Beautiful.
Okay, so Rebecca, we're going to invite you to come and join us up here. And we're going to invite everyone to rise as we turn to page 146 for Baruch.
Ya la 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 la, 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 ya la 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 la. Baruchu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam va'ed Le'olam va'ed Yala lai 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 Yala lai lai lai.
Please be seated and turn to page 149 and join with me at the top of the page. Praise to you. Okay. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom
sets the way.
Your wisdom sets the way on which time and the season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Creator of the tide of time and light, you guide as the current day into the night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Baruch atah Adonai, Hamarav Aravim. We turn to the middle of page 150 and read together in English. Everlasting love, you offered your people Israel by teaching us Torah and Mitzvot, laws and precepts. Therefore, Adonai, our God, when we lie down and when we rise up, we will meditate on your laws and your commandments. We will rejoice in Torah forever. Day and night we will reflect on them, for they are life, and doing them lengthens our days. Never remove your love from us. Praise to you, Adonai, who loves your people, Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. We turn to Shema on page 152.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed.
Please join with me on page 154. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levacha u'v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol me'odecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'elech asher natanki mitzavcha ayom alevavecha v'shinatam me'odecha v'dibartam bam v'shivtivcha b'vetecha uv'letecha b'derech ושכחה ובקומך, וקשרתם לאותות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Amen.
Please turn to page 137 and read responsively.
157.
157. In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness and peace, give us the courage to say Adonai. There is one God in heaven and earth.
Together, the high heavens declare your glory. May earth reveal your justice and love.
From bondage in Egypt we were delivered at Sinai. We bound ourselves to your way.
Inspired by prophets and instructed by sages, time and again we overcame oppressive forces.
Though our failings are many and our faults are great, it has been our glory to bear witness, our God keeping us alive in dark ages, your vision of a world redeemed.
Let us continue to work for the day when the nations shall be one and at peace. Then shall we rejoice as Israel did, singing on the shores of the sea.
We turn to page 158 and sing Mi Chamoka.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש, מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש. נורא תהילו עושה
We turn now to page 164. On page 164, we find our Amidah. Our Amidah connects us back generations. Rebecca, today you're wearing the talit that your dad wore when he became bar mitzvah, and you're connected to so many generations past. And in fact, the prayer we'll say in a minute, Avot V'Imahot, connects you all the way back to the first Jews. So today we invoke not only your dad and your mom and your grandparents, but everyone going back so far, so that we bring everyone together in the chain of tradition. You think you can do that? Mm-hmm. Amazing. We turn to page 164 and rise for the Amidah.
Adonai, sifatai tiftach ufi yagi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise.
166.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzhak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim V'konei hakol, v'zocher chastei avot v'imahot, u'mevii gula livnei bneihem, leman shemo be'ahava. Melech ozer u'mashiach u'mageh,
Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'ezrat Sarah.
168.
אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיה הכל, אתה רב להושיע, משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיה הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומידו מלך, מלך ממיד ומחיה ומצליח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיה הכל.
170.
אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
We turn to page 172 at the bottom. Our God and God of our ancestors, be pleased with our rest. Sanctify us with your mitzvot, and grant us in a share in your Torah. Satisfy us with your goodness, and gladden us with your salvation. Purify our hearts to serve you in truth. In your gracious love, Adonai our God, grant us our heritage, your holy Shabbat, that Israel who sanctifies your name may rest on it. Praise to you, Adonai our God, who sanctifies Shabbat. Baruch atah Adonai Mkadesh HaShabbat.
Amen.
I invite my brothers Matthew and Bradley to read a poem.
Wait, hold on.
Grant us peace, your most precious gift.
Wait, they didn't hear you. Bradley, that was awesome.
Should I keep going? Should I restart?
Why don't you tell everyone to sit down and then you can.
Okay, please be seated.
Now go for it.
Grant us peace, your most precious gift, O eternal source of peace, and give us the will to proclaim its message to all the peoples of the earth. Bless our country as a safeguard of peace. Its advocate among the nations, may contentment reign within our borders, health and happiness within our homes. Strengthen the bonds of friendship and fellowship among the inhabitants of our world. Plant virtue in every soul, and may the love of your name hallow every home and every heart. Praised are you, Adonai, who blesses your people with peace. Baruch atah Adonai hamvarech et amo Yisrael b'shalom.
Amen.
That was awesome.
Can I sing hugs?
I know it's hard.
We join in our prayer of peace, Oseh Shalom, on page 180.
עושה שלום במרומה, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל.
And now we have an opportunity to take a few moments for silent personal reflection. Sometimes the words we need are in the book and sometimes they're not. So now we take a moment. I invite you to use your prayer book if you'd like, or just take a moment for a few minutes of personal reflection.
We are gifts and we are blessings. We are His story in song. We are hope and we are healing. We are learning to be strong. We are words and we are stories. We are pictures of the past. We are carriers of wisdom, not the first and not the last.
At this point, we have the opportunity to pass Torah from generation to generation. And in order to do that, we'll invite everyone to rise. We'll invite Rebecca, her parents, and her grandparents to stand here, and we'll bring the Torah to you.
Ledor vador nagi god lecha. Ledor vador we protect this chain. From generation to generation. Ledor vador, these lips will praise your name.
Rebecca, you now hold in your hand the oldest words of our tradition. These words have been passed from generation to generation, as signified from going from your grandparents to your parents to you. As you take these words into your arms, that you now become the newest link in the chain of tradition, and your job now becomes to teach it to others. Are you willing to do that? Amazing. I'll take it from you. Hugs and kisses.
Ledor vador nagid god lecha. Ledor vador we protect this chain. From generation to generation. Ledor vador, these lips will praise your name. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo. Lecha Adonai Hagidu והגבורה והתפארת והנצח וההוד כי ככל בשמיים ובארץ, ככל בשמיים ובארץ, לך אדוני המלאכה, וימיד נעשה לכל לראש.
Thank you, Bradley.
So, Rebecca, what are you going to read for us today? You want to just pick something random? No, what do you want to read? Yeah, do you know where it's from? I know you do. What's it called in Hebrew? Good. So Rebecca is reading for us from the book of Vayikra, which is the third book in the Torah. And her Torah portion, Vayikra means is Leviticus in English. Her Torah portion is the very first 12 verses of the book of Leviticus. And these 12 verses talk about sacrifices. I'm not going to tell you about them because Rebecca's not going to tell you about them, but all you need to know is there's a lot of them, and there's a lot of details about them. Okay?
Accurate.
Is that accurate?
Yes.
Yeah. There are a lot of sacrifices, there are a lot of details, and we don't do them today. But if you would like to follow along, you are more than welcome to follow along in that big Torah book that's under your seat or in the seat in front of you. It's on page 660. You're not going to need the small book. You only need the big book. The small book we won't need till the end. So you're in that big book, page 660. In order to do that, Rabbi, I think we have some people to call up for the Aliyah.
We do have some people to call up. So for our first Aliyah, we're going to call up all of Rebecca's grandparents, Robert, Sandy, and Michelle. Ya'amdu le'aliyah rishon.
Here. Start. Baruch Adonai Havarach. Baruch Adonai Havarach Leolam Vaed. Baruch Adonai Havarach Leolam Vaed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam. Asher bacharanu mikol hamim. V'netan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai notein haTorah.
Amen.
Wait, there's right there. Here. Vayikra el Moshe, Vayidaber Adonai Elav me'ohel moed lemor daber el bnei Yisrael va'amarta alehem Adam ki Yariv mikem korban ladonai min habhema min habakar wait, is it here? Yes. Umin hatzon takrifu at korban ham im ola korbano min habakar zachar tamihim yakrivenu el petach o hel moed yakriv oto lirsono lifnei Adonai.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher b'chabonu et Torato v'hayei olam nata b'tohenu Baruch atah Adonai notein haTorah.
Amen. Rebecca, hugs and kisses. For our second Aliyah, we invite Rebecca's aunts and uncles, Daniel, and Shelby. Ya'amdu le'aliyah sheni.
Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Leolam Vaed. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah.
Amen.
Rosh ha'olah v'nirtzah lo l'chaper alav v'shachat et ben habakar livnei Adonai v'hikrihihihihihivu b'nei Aharon hakohanim et hadam v'zarechu et hadam al hamizbeach saviv asher petach ohel ma'ed. V'hishi et haolah v'nitach ta lintachecha.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torat emet, v'chayei olam natan b'tokeinu. Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah.
Amen. For our third aliyah, we call upon Rebecca's parents, Karen and Andrew. Ya'amdu le'aliyah shlishi. You're doing great.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
V'natanuhu b'nei Aharon hakohen ish al hamizbeach v'arechu eitzim al ha'esh v'arechu b'nei Aharon hakohanim et han tahim et harosh ve'et apader al ha'etzim asher al ha'esh asher al hamizbeach v'kirbo uchra yirhatz b'mayim v'hiktir hakohen et hakol hamizbeach olah yishay reach nichochai la'adonai.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torat emet, v'yechei olam natan b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. So you can give them hugs and kisses, but they're not going anywhere. So give them hugs and kisses, but they're going to stay. So I'm just going to step right over here. Rebecca, so the fourth aliyah, as we've talked about, is yours. And this is the moment, you've been reading Torah so beautifully for us, but this is the moment that you get called to the Torah by your Hebrew name for the very first time. And for me, working with you over the past 6-8 weeks, however long we've been working together, we've been talking about reaching this moment, and this whole evening is your moment. But really, this moment precisely, when you get called by your Hebrew name, is the moment of becoming bat mitzvah. So I'm so proud of you. We're so proud of you. We're so excited that we've reached this moment, and we're so excited to hear you lead us the rest of the way. Ta'amod, ta'amod. Rivka, bat Yitzchak Mordechai v'Simcha Brucha, ha bat mitzvah, chizki, chizki.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Ve'i min hatzon korbanaho min haksavihim o min ha'izim le'ola zachar tamihim yakrivenu v'shachat oto al yerech hamizbeach zafona lifnei Adonai v'zarechuhu b'nei Aharon hako hanim et damo al hamizbeach saviv v'nitach oto lin tahav ve'et rosho ve'et pidro ve'arach hakohen otam al ha'itzim asher al ha'esh asher al hamizbeach. Baruch hu Adonai Hamvora. Oh no. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam natan b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Take a deep breath. You did great. So, Rebecca, at this point, you take a deep breath. And then we lift the Torah high for all to see that this was indeed the Torah passed on at Mount Sinai. And also, there's something really cool. Rebecca started at the beginning of a new book, so you'll see a space, which is even cooler. And I believe we're inviting her cousin up.
Yes, Jake. Jack. Sorry.
All three.
Wait, I thought all
Yes, and cousins who are going to help us. Jack's going to lift.
Jack has to lift.
Jack's going to lift. The other cousins are going to help us
And
open
in
the
order
Torah.
to do that, we need everyone else to rise. Have you done this before?
V'zot haTorah asher sam Moshe livnei v'nei Yisrael al pi Adonai b'yad Moshe al shlosha devarim al shlosha devarim al shlosha devarim ha'olam omed al shlosha devarim al shlosha devarim al shlosha devarim ha'olam omed al haTorah ve'al ha'avodah ve'al gemilut chasadim al haTorah ve'al ha'avodah ve'al gemilut chasadim al shlosha devarim al shlosha devarim al shlosha devarim ha'olam omed. Please be seated. Beautiful job. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
There you go. Rebecca next is going to read for us from the Haftarah. Haftarah means completion, and the rabbis decided not only did we want our students to read Torah, we also wanted them to do more work. And so we have them read from the books of our prophets. Rebecca today is going to be reading from the book of Isaiah, in Isaiah chapter 43, verses 21 through 25. It's on page 682 in that big book. And while you're turning there, I'll tell you a little about Isaiah. So Isaiah is one of our most famous prophets for being really comforting, except not always. Not until the end of his book. At the beginning, he kind of wants to castigate everyone and says, you're not doing what I told you to. And because Rebecca's Haftarah, or Torah portion, is all about sacrifices, Isaiah says, your sacrifices aren't right. You're not doing what I asked. Start following the rules. Rebecca, does that sound like someone in your life?
Yeah.
Yeah? Maybe your parents sometimes tell you that?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Isaiah is basically, Matthew, you tell her that?
Matthew's the one who gets told that.
Oh, Matthew's the one that gets told that. Got it. So yeah, Isaiah is kind of like a parent saying, come on, guys, follow the rules already. I've told you enough times, let's follow the rules. And so Rebecca's going to read for us about Isaiah saying, you need to do the sacrifices right. I need you to do it right. And so, Rebecca, you ready to lead us? Before
Blessing first,
yes.
Okay. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar b'nvi'im tovim v'ratzah v'divrehem hana'emarim be'emet. Baruch atah Adonai habocher b'torah uv'Moshe avdo uv'Yisrael amo uv'nvi'eh ha'emet v'tzedek. Amzu yasarti li tehilati yisaperu viloti karata Yaakov ki yagata bi Yisrael lo hebeta li se olotecha uzvatecha lo ki bantani lo hevaticha B'mincha v'lo hogaticha bilvona. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam zor kol haloamim sadik b'chol hadorot ha'el ha'ne'eman ha'omer v'oseh hamdaber kayem shekol divarav emat v'tzedek al ha'torah ve'al ha'vodah ve'al hanvi'im ve'al yom ha'shabbat hazeh shenatat lanu Adonai Eloheinu likdusha v'limnucha l'chavod ol tifaret al hakol Adonai Eloheinu anachnu modim lach umvarchim otach yitbarach shimcha b'fichochai tamid le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai m'kadesh ha'shabbat.
Amen. Beautiful. Deep breath. No more Hebrew. You did it all. We're so excited. You have read Torah beautifully for us. You can't hear me. You have read Torah beautifully for us. You have read Haftarah beautifully for us. And now we are so excited to hear you teach us your Torah nice and slowly. You are going to teach us this beautiful, beautiful drash of yours that we've been working together on for so many weeks now. And you have to share that, get to share that teaching with all of these people in this room, everyone who's watching on the live stream, and you get to teach us tonight. You are our teacher.
Okay. Are any of you vegetarians? Then maybe you don't want to listen to this first part, because Vayikra, my Torah portion, is all about meat. The Torah portion tells us that we are supposed to make animal sacrifices to God. Many different kinds of sacrifices were made. Okay. Many different kinds of sacrifices that were made. An example of a sacrifice made was the burnt offering or the olah. They took an animal and burned most of it. Another sacrifice made was the meal offering or the mincha. They burned flour, oil, frankincense, and salt and gave it to priests to eat. It goes on with lots of different kinds of sacrifices and different kinds of offerings. But that's not what I want to talk about tonight. Tonight I want to talk about just the name of my Torah portion. Vayikra means to call out. In this context, God calls out to the Israelites to tell them how to do the sacrifices. When I first read this Torah portion, all the sacrifices and stuff were gross and irrelevant. But what this means to me is that what this means to me and all of us is that maybe our job is to now be like God and call others out when they need to be. Calling out is important because sometimes people need to know how their actions and behavior affect someone else. Sometimes people say something that can be offensive towards another person, even if they don't mean it. By calling someone out, they can know what their actions do to others. They need to know this so they can learn from it and not make that same mistake again. We should call people out when they are doing something wrong because it's the right thing to do, but also we can learn from our mistakes. When I was at school a few months ago, I was going to my locker and I saw a 6th grader trying to get in. I told her to stop. She just laughed. I'm not sure if she learned from my calling her out, but it was worth it to tell her. Anyway, I didn't want her stealing any of my stuff, but also maybe now she's less likely to do it to someone else. I don't know if this will make a huge difference, but it felt good to do, and it reminds me of another story. Once there was a girl who was on the beach. All of a sudden, there was a big wave that put all the starfish on the beach. The girl was running around picking up the starfish one by one, throwing them in the water. A man came up to her and said, "What are you doing? There are too many starfish. You're not going to make a difference." She picked up one starfish, looked the man in the eye, threw it back in the water, and said, "I made a difference for that one." People need to know that their actions and behavior affect someone else. And also, if we call people out in a nice way, they can learn from it. And if they learn from it, hopefully they will be less likely to do things like that again. If everyone has someone to show them how to be a little nicer, there will be a lot more kindness in the world. I know this sounds cliche, but this has to start somewhere. If only 5 people learn from their actions, that's still fewer people who could be hurt. There's a well-known Jewish quote from Rabbi Tarfon that says, "You are not obligated to finish the work, but neither are you free to desist from it." This quote reminds me that as cliche as it sounds, if we try to call people out when they make a mistake, if it helps them learn, it's all worth it.
Yasher koach. That's what we say, great job. I want to thank you, Rebecca, because working together with you, crafting this message, I learned so much from you. Let's throw out the entire Torah portion and just focus on that first word and create a beautiful, beautiful teaching about just that first word and what we can learn from that. So I want to thank you for what you taught me and taught all of us tonight, but I also know that you have some thank yous that you want to say to other people.
So first I want to thank Rabbi Enby, Rabbi Pleasant. First I want to thank Rabbi Enby, Rabbi Pleasant, and Harriet for helping me accomplish this day. Thank you to all my friends and guests for celebrating my bat mitzvah. I want to thank my 2 dogs, Waylon and Georgie, for being the best dogs ever. Thank you to my cousins, Jack, Evan, and Abby, for being the best cousins ever. I enjoy every moment we get to spend together. Aunt Shelby, Uncle Danny, and Uncle Danny, I want to thank you for always sharing holidays and special occasions with our families. Thank you to my wonderful grandparents, Grandma Sandy and Poppy. Sorry, Poppy, you're stuck with that name forever. You're always there for us and make sure we have fun. Grandma Michelle, thank you for always taking me out to have fun experiences and making sure I have the best time. I love you all very much. Bradley, I think you like me, but you don't want to admit it. You're the best little ski partner in the whole world, and I love you so much. Matthew, even though we fight a lot, we actually have so much fun. From entertaining our parents to hanging out in our rooms at night. I love you. Mom and Dad, I appreciate you, and I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for creating a beautiful, happy family. You've given me so many wonderful experiences throughout my 12 years. You're always there for me through my ups and downs, even when Matthew and Bradley and I can be a handful. I'm a very lucky girl to have you as my wonderful parents. I love you.
Take another deep breath. That was not a deep breath at all.
Short breath.
Rebecca, you've done all the hard work, okay? Now I get to talk to you. So you have 2 choices. You can sit with Rabbi Pleasant up here, or you can sit down with your family. Great. Have fun. Join them. So Rebecca, her Torah portion, Parshat Vayikra, is all about sacrifices. What to do, when to do them, and how. Basically, the sacrificial system was a way of making sure that everything worked together and people were respecting God. Great. But God wanted to make sure the people were committed to God, and this was one very intense way to do it. And Rebecca wasn't such a big fan of that. So Rebecca, you openly rejected discussing the sacrificial system for your Devar Torah, and both Rabbi Pleasant and I completely respect that. Who wants to talk about animal sacrifices that we don't even do anymore and really are an antiquated system that doesn't fit our modern day system? And maybe, though, there's something we can learn from the sacrifices that's a lesson that does have meaning for you and everyone else here. Let's see. The book of Leviticus as a whole is meant to help shape the people of Israel into a holy people who merit God's having chosen them, and also to help them remain as pure as possible for the contact they might have with the elements of holiness. Basically, Leviticus becomes an instruction manual for how to make sure everyone stayed holy in community. The sacrifices in the first 7 chapters of Leviticus are the first of many depictions of how the community, home, and the physical body could remain holy. Rebecca, your Torah portion focuses on these dreaded sacrifices. But instead of looking at the sacrifices as individual entities, I want to look at them as a whole. The Hebrew word for sacrifice is korban, or karav, and it comes from that root, karav, kuf resh bet. That root means to draw close or draw near. In that sense, the offerings were simply meant as a way to draw closer to God in our actions and intentions. Although not everyone connects to the idea of God, the idea of drawing ourselves nearer to our community, to the people we love, sounds like a pretty good idea. But for you, Rebecca, with 2 younger brothers who are often full of energy, I can imagine that drawing near to community or family sounds like the last thing you want to do sometimes. That said, the whole concept of these sacrifices is that our community has value even when we don't want to be around them. Even when we don't want to be around them. And so, we need each person to make up our community, so everyone here makes up your community, including your brothers. Rebecca, you are a builder of community as you continue to grow your own independence and strength. You are a person of dedication and perseverance, one who I am proud to know. And you, without knowing it, are offering your own drawing near with the words you spoke a few minutes ago by calling out. By teaching about calling out, you truly demonstrate what it means to create a holy and pure community. For how else can we ensure the safety and power of our community than by calling people out when their actions don't match their values? Rebecca, you are indeed someone who has drawn near, and we can't wait to see what you do in the future. Rabbi Pleasant and I would like you up to invite you up here so that we can offer you the oldest blessing in Judaism, the priestly blessing, and we'll invite everyone to rise.
You're going to come stand right in between us. Yivarechecha Adonai ve'yishmerecha.
May God bless you and keep you.
Yaher Adonai panav elecha v'yichuneka.
May God's face shine upon you and be with you.
Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom, shalom.
May God walk with you and be with you, Rebecca, and give you all of life's blessings, those of perseverance, of strength, of determination, of joy, but most of all, of shalom, of peace.
And to celebrate this...
No, don't go anywhere yet.
Almost.
Almost.
To celebrate this sacred occasion, we are going to sing Shehechianu, a blessing of thanksgiving for this exact moment. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Shehechianu v'kimanu v'higianu b'zman hazeh. Amen.
We turn to page 586 and we join together in Aleinu.
Aleinu leshabeach la'adon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא.
591.
ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
Near the end of every service, we turn to memory, and we invite the memories of those who have passed on into our hearts. If there is someone you're thinking of tonight who has passed away, We invite you to share their name aloud so we can bring their memory into this space.
Robert Herbst. Bernice and Harry Hoffman and Larry and Lillian Herbst. Bessie and Meyer Mandel.
Doc and Sylvia Ulam.
We hold all of their names and all of their memories in our hearts as we turn to page 598 for Kaddish. Yit gadal v'yit kadash shemei rabbah. Be'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei. B'chayachon uvyomechon u'chayei dechol beit Yisrael. Ba'agala uvizman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shemei rabbah mivarach le'olam olmei olmaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shemei dekudasha brichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tush b'chata v'nechemata, damiram be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Osei shalom b'imromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved, as together we say, Amen.
Osei shalom bimromav, uyaseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imeru amen.
Please be seated. Rebecca, at the beginning of our service, we all signed a certificate with your parents. And this certificate says you indeed did all the work that you said you did, which is true. And so she will have this forever, or as long as she chooses, that demonstrates that she became bat mitzvah today on this bima. And Rebecca, we also have a gift for you from the congregation. It is your very own Kiddush cup, so whenever you celebrate something Jewish in your family, you can use your own Kiddush cup to do so, and it will match your dress perfectly because it has blue on it. And Rebecca, you've been a blessing to us for about the last hour. You've been a blessing to them since you were born. You think we could give them a chance to offer you a blessing? Yeah. Okay. Come on up, parents. Andrew and Karen, we invite you to offer Rebecca a blessing.
Rebecca, Dad and I are so proud of you, always, but especially today, for your commitment to becoming a bat mitzvah. You are special in so many ways, especially the way you always care about your family and always being warm and kind and expressing your love to your entire family. We know that today begins the next big chapter in your life, and the possibilities are endless. We love you with all our hearts.
We're going to invite you to stay up here. That was the shortest and sweetest blessing. It was great.
That's the way I do it.
I love it. So, Matthew and Bradley, you want to join us? We're going to do Havdalah now, which Havdalah is our celebration separating. We're going to go over here on that side. Havdalah celebrates the end of Shabbat and separates between Shabbat and the rest of our week. And we have three symbols. We have the symbol of, Matthew, will you point to them as I say them? The juice. The spices. Yep, and the candle. And the juice, thank you, the juice represents the sweetness of Shabbat, that as we're saying goodbye to Shabbat, we say goodbye with that sweetness. And because we start Shabbat with juice, so we end it. The spices represent the sweetness and the spice of Shabbat that we hope to take it with us into the next week. And the braided candle represents the braiding together of our lives, that on Shabbat we have the opportunity to be closer together, and we hope to carry that with us into Shabbat. So we'll do Havdalah. It is on page 612 if you would like to follow along.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Borei peri hagafen, borei peri hagafen. Yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai lai. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Borei minei v'samim, borei minei v'samim. Yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai lai. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Borei meorei ha'esh, borei meorei ha'esh. Yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai lai. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Hamavdil bein kodesh lechol. Hamavdil bein kodesh lechol. Yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai lai. Shavua tov, 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 Shavua tov. A good week, a week of peace. May gladness reign and joy increase. A good week, a week of peace. May gladness reign and joy increase.
Now, Rebecca, we get to sing Siman Tov Mazel Tov. You did it. You're done. Siman Tov Mazel Tov Mazel Tov. Siman Tov Mazel Tov Mazel Tov. Siman Tov Mazel Tov Mazel Tov. Siman Tov. Yehelanu,
Yehelanu, Yehelanu, Ulechol Yisrael. Yehelanu, Yehelanu, Ulechol Yisrael. Yehelanu, Yehelanu, Ulechol Yisrael. Yehelanu, Yehelanu, Ulechol Yisrael. Shavua Tov,
Shavua Tov.
Mazel Tov, Rebecca. Shavua Tov, everyone.